Today's video is dedicated to two people. One of them is one of my dear friends who kind of just admitted to herself that one of her deepest callings in life, if she's being true to herself, is that she wants to have children. And the other person is my mother, who was adopted and did her PhD dissertation on the fact that adopted kids and biological kids, there's no difference in the level of bonding that occurs with the parent. And so just here to express gratitude for parents everywhere, including my own, and especially for those parents who have done the very beautiful work of taking in children that might not be their biological ones. But I kind of believe that's almost, even if it's possible, an even more powerful love. And yeah, evidence shows that it is exactly the same. So cheers to all the foster parents and adopted parents out there, and people who parent but aren't given that title. So without further ado, I'd like to read one of my most favorite passages from, yeah, you guessed it, Kahlil Gibran's The Prophet. It's in the public domain. You can check out the whole book. I highly encourage that. And I hope that you enjoy this piece about what it means to be a child and what it means to be a parent. So whether or not you have kids or want them someday or don't, every one of you is a child. And I think this provides some really cool insights into navigating that parent-child relationship. I'm going to read it really slow to let all the beautiful wisdom soak in. And a woman who held a babe against her bosom said, "Speak to us of children." And he said, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might so that his arrows may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness, for even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable. Before I get into what this passage means about being a parent, I want to speak first on what it means to be a child. It means that maybe you were shot forth from a bow that wasn't perfect, but even whatever path you took, whichever direction you flew, and no matter how perfect or imperfect that bow was, trusting that the mighty archer, right, that is that which is bigger than us and that which is bigger than our parents, had a perfect direction in mind for you, and it was all meant to be. That's what I draw from that. And that doesn't mean that our circumstances are so out of our control that we just blame them on things outside of us. What it really means is we flew in that direction because there were lessons to be learned. We were fired from a certain bow because that was meant to give us a certain kind of strength, and it was our lesson for this lifetime of what we were supposed to learn. And the way you can go about that is to get still and look deep inside. Look at any wounds that are still troubling you from the life that you lived and just notice them. You don't need to judge it. When you see and embrace things exactly as they are and understand that it's all part of the bigger picture, when you can just sit with that and notice what your parents did, how they did it, see how it made you into who you are, a lot of the time the pain that we went through as children can really turn into huge strengths when we're older. And that's what I mean when it's meant to be. It's not meaning that like you were supposed to go through this horrible time because XYZ. No, it means that these difficult times can be also turned into your superpower. And what I mentioned earlier about being able to go back in time and heal those parts of yourself, I think in order to do that, you really do need to be able to look at your pain and look objectively, non-judgmentally at your parents and see how they were limited. Maybe you know something about their lives and their level of difficulty, and they just weren't given the tools that we are given today. They didn't have a YouTube or an Instagram or certain books and research letting them know all of the research on child development, letting them know how they could heal themselves. We are given such a gift in this generation to have these things, to have this understanding. And I hope if you have children, you're using it and making yourself aware and doing better than your parents did. But as for our own parents and going back in time and healing ourselves equipped with this knowledge, you can literally go back and just see the pain and be aware of it and acknowledge it. That alone is so powerful in helping you move forward. But the next step is to literally find this part of yourself, your higher self, your love within yourself, the loving self, right? Not the critical voice that's been instilled. Set that aside. Go deeper and find the loving part of yourself to witness these events, these memories, this pain. And as you do, you can literally care for these hurt parts of yourself. And this work I learned from Richard Schwartz, Internal Family Systems, and I have another video about that if you want to delve into more detail. But in short, if you just kind of let the loving part of yourself talk to these hurt parts, let them know they're welcome, listen to what they have to say, and let them know that you're there for them, that you made it through these horrible experiences and everything is okay. Everything is okay now. You'll be there for them. If you're able to do this, just go ahead and watch your life transform. Watch old wounds stop showing up and watch more creative parts of yourself that have been trapped in this anxiety and hypervigilance become free. If you have some really, really painful things, I recommend not facing them alone. You can totally find a qualified IFS therapist or find a very trusted friend or any therapist or someone that life coach or anyone that feels right to you. And don't go through it alone, but do go through it. That's the key. So that's what I learned from that passage in terms of what it means to be a child is just forgive your parents because they were doing the best that they could with the bow that they were given, right? But what I take from this passage on what it means to be a parent and how to be a good parent is even more profound. You are there to guide your children, to point them in the right direction, but you can't live life for them and you shouldn't. And you're there to learn from them, right? And this is my experience of it too. You learn so much more from your kids, and really you don't teach them anything. They absorb what you model. They absorb who you are. So if you're thinking about kids, one thing to do before you do that is to just kind of check yourself and say, am I who I should be if a little one were watching me and I knew they were going to absorb all of my habits and all of my behaviors? And even if you do have kids and there's a behavior that you've been modeling that you want to change, I feel like it's really good motivation to change that and to know that, who you are is what is going to shape them. It's not what you tell them. It's not, you can't try to live life for them. You can't control them. They're going to go their own way. And that way is based on who you are, the integrity of your bow, the structural integrity of who you are, and the direction that you point them, right? But then after that, it's their life. It's their journey. So there is a tremendous amount of letting go that has to take place when being a parent. And I'm not saying it's easy, but listening to Kahlil Gibran enumerate exactly what it is in that way definitely helps a lot.